two meetings in Allentown at work. Can we do 4th of July?
Text me when you're
Yeah, and we can do it?
Text me, I'll give you one.
That'll work?
I'll be away, but I'll drive up.
Okay. So tomorrow, I have a commitment, I don't want to cancel it.
Just you need to walk through, you need to see it.
You're a no?
I have prolonged vacation 12 hours right now for my kid's birthday. Be here tonight, leave tonight. I'll be back Friday.
It's good service.
I said I have staff who can assist.
John?
I have guys, I have people who could be there. It's not,
I'm sorry.
we're all on the same page anyway.
Lieutenant, you can be there. Okay, so that's what we'll do. Happy birthday to your son. You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
I'm sure he does. Okay.
Before we close this out, I want to go back to June 5th. I asked that we have a work session to try and work through some of this stuff. And we've still not scheduled anything. We have not, I think, unless we have everybody in the room, whether it's bond counsel, the CFO, Stan, we don't know what the right decision is completely when it comes to the money aspect of everything.
So we've gotten back, and I don't know, counsel, if you stop me if I'm starting to dive into waters that need to be in executive session. I don't believe anything's privileged with regard to what I'm about to say. We've received 3 different estimates for the permanent relocation, and they've all come under 96 million. So they left a $400,000 contingency to get everybody back into the building. I did see your recommendations, but at that point in time, that's between yourself, the mayor, and Stan. We're simply funding it, okay?
And we understand that, but again, unless we pull everybody to the table, we're having a hard time, and I don't want to, Stan isn't here, but, when we discussed this, one thing that was said was what we build out in the Armory, we were going to have in Corliss Avenue. And it's nothing like that. And the flow of it, I mean,
Right.
you can get the plan, I'm sure Stan sent you the plans.
Yeah.
It is only a 30%.
So what we will do, I was just advised by council that we would probably have to do that in either
That's
a
fine.
work session or
But
executive
whatever,
session.
but if we schedule that out, I'd appreciate that too, so that we can resolve some of that stuff also. With everyone's input too, so we can get this right.
Including Stan.
So my input's easy, and I'll be there. That's not a problem. But we need to get them out. That means no Facebook posts, no crazy,
Let's
no
get the waste, let's get the waste out of the way, let's get the water.
no fighting, no arguing.
No fight, no arguing, the goal
Well,
is.
at least when it comes to the police department.
There you go.
All right?
We'll resume after it's over.
All right, because I don't want Mike coming to my house. All right?
Okay.
Can I,
I mean, I don't know what to say, because they've heard all, and nothing has gotten.
Let's get out there.
Okay.
If you don't.
Councilwoman, did you have something to say?
I did. You and I have talked about this. I'm going to bring it up now, so we can just end this once and for all. A suggestion was made that we just create a citizens advisory, and we put this in the hands of people other than the politicians and all the stakeholders here. Perhaps we just get people from the community to come in and make these decisions who haven't been in the nitty-gritty. So take the money piece out of it. Let's just bring people in from the community. Since it's gone on long enough, there's nobody saying otherwise. It's been a long time. Maybe it's time we just stop and put people that have no interest in front of it and let them have some feedback.
We're strictly talking right now about 2 separate issues, right? I believe we're talking about temporary relocation, and then we're talking about a permanent relocation.
Yes, everything. I mean,
Okay.
ultimately.
This is permanent.
Right, well,
No, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm on the same page.
I just want to make sure that they're out.
The point of your meeting with the mayor, John, and probably Travis,
Okay.
will be to look at these buildings to figure out who, for this temporary relocation, how we could outfit possibly the Armory so that we could get over there right away, or somewhere else, wherever you decide to go. And the other part where I'm talking about meeting, I think that we have to meet as a whole about a permanent. That's.
So I can only bring one other council member, or 2,
I don't know.
there can only be 2 council members in the room unless it's in an executive session.
No, I understand, whatever.
Because it would be a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act.
Right.
Okay. When are you available? I don't get into town until 4 o'clock.
I'm out until Friday. I'm not won't be around.
So are you looking to do this
Next
next
week, I'm
week?
good, anytime, I'll make time anytime, except for Mary Jo, what time do I have to be with you next week?
6 o'clock on the 10th,
No, because
or the 9th, 6 o'clock on the 9th.
What else? So,
Monday's good.
if you're back in town at 4 o'clock, I can do anything at 4 o'clock, I know I have nothing.
Same here.
What are we busy at? Because I gotta be honest with you, at this point in time, unless it's
The
life-threatening.
police are highly involved in that project Monday night. So.
Is that Monday night for Mary Jo?
It's
Yes.
Tuesday.
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 Tuesday?
Yeah.
It's next Tuesday.
So we can do
Well, like I
Monday.
said, 4 o'clock, we can do any time.
Okay.
That's 6 o'clock at night, so it's not gonna interfere.
Monday at 4?
And
Monday at 4? Municipal building?
we go Fillmore or Courthouse?
You wanna go to court- you wanna go to courthouse?
We'll authorize you.
Listen, I don't have a problem with courthouse. I understand. You wanna do
I mean, are we
municipal?
going out to look at places, or do you wanna sit down for a while?
So tomorrow, I know we're gonna go take a look.
All right.
Right.
All right. Monday, let's schedule it for the municipal building, and if something comes up in the meantime, where there are other buildings to
They
look
have-
at.
They have a conference room that we can use, so it's easier there anyway.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. If the building comes up, I can call either one of you or email you. Yeah? Okay. All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, we're going to be discussing the MVP grant in a little bit. We're not going to do it right now, though, because it's a resolution, so we have the ordinance of the first reading, and then we'll get to the consent agenda. So you're going to hang out?
Yes.
Okay. Let's give them time to... Okay. All right, I think we're good. All right, the next is the first reading of the ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg, County of Orange, State of New Jersey to regulate, control, and stabilize rents in the town and amending the municipal code to adopt chapter 463 entitled Rent Control. Do I have a motion? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Councilman Litz.
I think we should, since we have to talk with Joe and your attorney, I think we should kind of table it until we get the true reading of it.
So would we rather make amendments now? There are no work sessions in July or August. Do we want to run through it, make amendments now, send it back?
Well, that's up to the attorney, because the attorney said he would look at it.
Yeah, I don't think that's, we're going to run through it and make the kind of revisions that you're looking at and make sure it's fine and right here. Sit here.
Why do you face all that?
Oh, the mic- make sure to really-
Imagine how we feel.
Okay, he's always here for the nutty things. I feel bad for him. Before we motion to table, I would like to hear what everyone else on the panel does have to say, if that's okay. Councilman Davis?
Sure, and just as a procedural thing, perhaps we can all provide our input and make a summary motion about changes we want, and then defeat the bill tonight and have it introduced as a new ordinance. If there's no objection to that, council.
I'm sorry, you would like to go through the summary, the changes?
Well, what's the other suggested methodology for providing input?
Well, I mean, we could see an email chain and file it.
Well, so that's why I think we can provide our respective input this evening.
Agreed.
Perhaps we can defeat it this evening if there's significant changes we want to make, and then have it reintroduced by council.
Okay.
Just and Council President, I don't know if did you request any specific provisions? I apologize for addressing you directly. In requesting that you model from the PACON's ordinance, did you request any specific provisions, or was it just a general model and without your input? Because I just want to see if there were any questions I could ask you directly.
So this was a general model after the low PACON ordinance, and I apologize, I was asking Mayor, if I can hear you, and I apologize. if you want to discuss it out in the hallway, you're more than welcome to, but I just want to be able to hear Councilman Davis' question. Okay, Councilman.
Okay, just some of the initial thoughts that I had for section 463(1)F, the investment formula. Unless I'm mistaken, the fair return on investment is really generally defined. It's not used anywhere else in the ordinance. I'm not sure we require that definition because we have specific percentage limitations on the increases, and as far as the hardship, it seems more of a qualitative argument where there's going to be documentation provided to the rent control board.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure we need that definition in terms of constructing this ordinance. In 463(2), while I appreciate the intent, I'm not sure that the 3% cap is necessarily fair. I think taxes alone in town have increased 3% per annum over the last 10 years. So just to be fair, we might want to have that as a slightly higher cap in order for landlords to be able to have get a fair return in terms of both inflation and tax increases that we've seen realistically. I have no objections with the vacancy fee control. It makes sense to me that people who are coming into a new agreement would have the right to negotiate at whatever price they want since they're not continuously living in the property. I like the staunch requirements for increasing the rent, as well as having to provide argumentation for increases over the set amount. So I think that we can probably further discuss what the actual cap should be in terms of the year-to-year increases. I'm concerned about the number of board members. I think we might want to expand the panel slightly so that if there are people who are not able to make it, that there's not so much risk about the board not being able to convene. I think that this board is going to have a lot of really important work, so we want to make sure that illness or unavailability due to work obligations or professional obligations or vacations doesn't delay them from meetings.
If I may.
Yeah, please.
Councilman, so I also requested that. Originally it was 3 members with a two-member
Yeah.
quorum. I had asked for a 5-member with the two-member quorum, I mean a 3-member quorum, but according to some statute, it was brought to 3 with 2 alternates. I guess because of our population size, that was the
That's fine.
statute.
If there's a statutory obligations, then of course we can honor those.
I didn't cut you off.
No. And other than that, let's see. I would like to first 46311 for the 90% qualitative history of code violations. Just because we don't want to get into a legal argument with the landlord about getting on that, I think that we could probably define that a little bit better about how that's going to actually play into whether landlords can apply for that hardship. And I think we need to talk about whether there's going to be any actual financial assets given to this board at its outset, which is established later in the ordinance. And Jamie, we're sure that, I apologize, that council, we have the authority as council to create this board. It would then have to come from the mayor's office, correct?
No, my understanding is it can be created by the council. You know, I didn't draft this ordinance, Josh, so I have to.
I double checked.
Yeah.
He had explained that it could be created by council.
Okay.
Right, yeah, and in my experience from other rent leveling boards in other municipalities, that's been practice, but not all of the practice that's followed is not always, legal, but my understanding it is the council.
Excellent. And the last thing, in terms of the maintenance service standards to be maintained, I don't know if we want to cross-define those here because I believe the code office has their own list, correct? In terms of what it's 46314.
So this list here is, you talking about the proper standards?
The maintenance service standards to be maintained.
Right, this is all by law, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm saying.
He could reference, you're talking reference the property maintenance code of the requirements that
The
landlord
town
has
code?
to
Yeah,
maintain.
I think we're defining, well, like, it's got to be defined somewhere else if code is enforcing habitability
I
requirements.
actually think that's part of the state law. that
Yeah.
They have to adhere to that.
Yeah, I know most of these are defined and,
Yeah,
but
He wants a cross-reference.
I get it. Okay.
And that's it. Thank you so much for requesting this from the attorney. I think that this ordinance, when it's in its final form, is going to do a lot to provide relief to our citizens who are tenants and have landlords who are not practicing their ownership in the way that they should and don't have the resources to go to the landlord-tenant board and exercise their legal rights. They'll be able to get real relief based on the rent rollbacks if they're not providing the appropriate services to their tenants without having to cut through all the legal red tape. So thank you for providing this for council consideration, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman DeGiorno.
No, not a whole lot. Just to be clear, this is for private rentals only,
That is, yes.
privately owned.
Right.
And this is not simply an advisory board we're creating, it's more like the planning board with oversight.
Right, this is the rent leveling board, which would be a government board overlooking the program.
Yeah, okay. The first paragraph, I don't think we have a housing shortage in Phillipsburg. When I read it, I chuckled, but
Are you sure?
I think maybe we just need different language for that first paragraph, because it's a little misleading to say we have a housing shortage. All right, good. The 463-6, the registration statement, will this void the need for rental registration that we currently have? Or
Sorry, getting through all the papers.
it looks like a lot of the similar information, we did just strengthen the rental.
Right, so it really is, it's going to be two separate forms. The one, they're supposed to be on record with the municipal building, and quite frankly, I believe the last time I checked, the majority of them haven't registered within the town of Phillipsburg, so I think that, yeah, this is, the redundancy is needed. This way we're able to track them down.
Just so they're consistent.
Right.
That's, and I didn't have enough time to research the existing, so that was a question. And I'm okay with that. Councilman Davis noted the employee to council and secretarial leave within the limits of the municipal budget. So moving forward, we will need to add a line item. So we need to make sure the CFO is aware of that.
Right.
Moving forward into next year. I think that's all I have. It is. Oh, municipal building. This meeting notice, no, that's okay.
Okay.
That's it, that's all I have.
All right, excellent. Council Vice President.
Reading it, it is lengthy, it has to be. In good faith, we're trying to do the best we can to strengthen our landlord and tenant relationships here in our town. We do have, unfortunately, we have a lot of them. My only thing that I saw, and I concur with Councilman Davis, was I thought 3 was a low number, but by definition of statute on what we have here, I would agree to increase that, but if we can't, we can't. That was really on the leveling board, that's the only thing I saw, in addition to that the leveling board was allowed to grant or deny hardship cases, which in order to have the ability to do so would be important, and it's in there, so I'm satisfied.
Excellent. Council, at this time, taking the advice of council, I would request that we vote down ordinance 2019-18, send it back to council for the appropriate amendments and then revisit at our next council meeting for first reading. So with that, we'll roll call.
Councilman Davis?
No.
Councilwoman DeGrova?
No.
Councilman Litz?
No.
Council Vice President McVeigh?
No.
Council President Holbrook?
No, ordinance 2019-18 has not passed this evening. Councilman Davis, if you can, I did try the very best I could to write them all down. Would you mind sending them to Attorney Winter, or if you want to go send them to me, you're welcome to.
Absolutely, I'll send them to Attorney Winter.
Thank you, Councilman. All right, we now have a resolution, the consent agenda. Is there anyone that would like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Councilman Lutz.
Yes, 2019-102,
102. Anything else?
that'd be all.
Councilman Davis.
That's all for me as well.
Councilwoman.
2019-105. Only because I need to abstain on one item, so.
Okay. Council Vice President.
Good, sir.
I myself am good. So we can vote on the consent agenda with the exception of 102 and 105. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Sure.
Roll call.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeGrova?
Yes.
Councilman Litz?
Yes.
Council Vice President McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Holbrook?
Yes. Next up is Resolution 2019-102, resolution of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, authorizing the application for aid from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs.
So moved.
Is there a second? This is a second.
Second.
Okay, so now we're up for discussion.
I'm sorry, which one did it start with?
This is now the MVP grant, the resolution of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, authorizing the application from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs.
And just as first note, I know that the mayor has a lot to present. I think we need to adjust that title.
Yes. Would you like to?
What is the 4A? What the 4A grant?
That would be correct.
Okay.
Amended to state application for a grant from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're going to open this up to the floor. Councilman Lutz, did you have any comments?
Yeah, the information that I got the last couple of days that was thrown at us, I thought it was inadequate. It doesn't show what it's actually going to do. And at this time, I'm going to say no on that.
Councilman Davis.
Yes, before I provide my own comments, I was hoping we could open the floor to the mayor to provide his input on the documentation he's provided, so then if there's additional questions we have, they can perhaps be answered by his comments.
Excellent. Councilwoman?
I concur with Councilman Davis. I'll hold my questions until we let the mayor present.
Council President.
By point of order, are we going to allow the mayor to speak and then circle back with, starting with Councilman Davis or Councilman Lutz to come back to questioning? Or-
Absolutely.
Okay, so if that's the case, I'll defer to the mayor.
Sure.
Floor is yours.
Okay, we've been receiving a Highlands Coalition grant for the economic development of our downtown. That included the riverfront redevelopment, its impact upon our economic development. It was a charrette, as you know, which involved the public. The council finally passed that riverside redevelopment. We are in a planning area of the Highlands. There's conservation areas and there's planning areas. The Highlands Commission is very interested in Phillipsburg because of the river, the resources, the historic resources such as Greens Bridge, the Morris Canal, the Ice House, and even the Agway. They have given us $66,000 several months ago I had explained this, Councilwoman DeGirolamo had a couple questions. Well, how did that get approved? That had been approved in 2019 under ordinance as the riverfront redevelopment when the zoning was put in. If you recall, we changed some of the zoning for LMR. Otherwise, that it was revised year after year after year. It's a major project. Its purpose is to bring that wealth from the greater Lehigh Valley across the bridge, sort of like a New Hope and Lambertville model. And this year, the Highlands Commission was so pleased with the work that Angela Knowles did and Stan Schreck, they awarded us $66,000 more for the implementation of that economic development plan. And that, of course, would include surveys on the street. Why are you in Phillipsburg? What are you looking for? What type of retail? What type of recreation? And the implementation of that. The professional or the consultant that works for Van Cleef has a list of over 1,000 retailers that provide different products to different people. And they were going to match them up with the survey and then go out and knock on those retailers' doors to bring them into Phillipsburg. While we were at that meeting with Angela Knowles, Sam Capella, and myself, and I believe Mike Textoris was there, the JSP group, I believe, Joe Getz, who wrote the Economic Development Plan.
For clarification, JGSC. Right?
JGS, thank you.
You're welcome.
Was knew of a SAGE grant from DCA that would provide $125,000 the first year, $100,000 for 4 years thereafter, for a total of $525,000. He agreed to write the grant pro bono. We had 2 weeks to get it in. According to Sam, he had sent down to the clerk's office a request for a resolution. I am not saying that happened or it didn't happen. The fact of the matter was, we contacted the council on June 21st and said we have a problem. We need a resolution by DCA. And DCA, of course, was caught up in the New Jersey State budget crunch between the Senate and the governor. And OEM, Office of Management and Budget, had swiped all the tills. I've seen it happen for 35 years. They closed non-essential departments and so forth and so on until the budget settled. So we got a call from the Department of Community Affairs saying, you either give us the resolution or you're losing the budget, or you're losing the money, the $500,000. Now that would, of course, that would be, how can I say, a chink in the armor to the mayor's office. However, when you look at it, it's the residents that would hurt. To lose $500,000 plus for them, and I'm going to stop there and answer Mr. Lutz's question. The grant is for neighborhood preservation. Valley View did it. I think you were here. Lynn Harrison managed the program. There's a sign as you go in Valley View, neighborhood preservation. And what it's for is for facades, sidewalks, curbs, trees, windows, roofs, anything that would preserve the neighborhood to its originally historic look. And we do have a historic commission downtown, but this, as I spoke with Councilwoman DeGirolamo, would be mostly up towards the Purcell Hill area. Well, you couldn't pick a better area with Bridgepoint construction coming in and the possibility of 500 jobs in the first hire. I've been involved in some of the discussions with the buyers, and it was a perfect fit, excuse me, Council President, for this Highlands Commission grant. It just fit perfectly. The improvement in the homes, sidewalks, the aesthetics, etc. So we went into high gear. We sent downstairs to Vicki, and I'm sure there were, as you all know, there were many communications back and forth. I tried to give you the best I could on the justification of how we got where we got, and then, of course, we're at your mercy for the resolution. Over the weekend, I spent a lot of time on the phone with public officials and leadership, the governor's office, and they were able to secure the money, even though there's a budget battle in Trenton. The money is there as we sit here and stand here today. If you pass the resolution for the neighborhood preservation grant, the town will be $525,000 richer tomorrow. I will guarantee you this, there will be an open forum where every councilman will have his chance to decide where the grant will go, to which house it will go, and it would be a completely open process, not run by the mayor's office. So I ask of you all to consider passing this resolution, accepting the $525,000, and from there, we act as a team. Thank you.
Who is the coordinator, may I ask?
The coordinator would be Angela Knowles and the Joe Getz. Joe Getz would be doing this survey, who would bring in the retailers that the customers were looking for. Now, Joe isn't just doing it on South Main Street, because as we all know, there's no one on South Main Street. Joe is going to cross the river, and he's going to ask Easton residents, what would you like to see in Phillipsburg? What would bring you across that bridge? And of course, you want to talk to Joe Getz, he's all yours. He's all yours as a council, or he's all yours as a committee.
I'm just wondering who gets the 25,000 for the salary, for the coordinator.
The administrative fees would, I believe, both go to Van Cleef Engineering and Joe Getz. Every, Councilman Lutz, every grant that we have procured through Van Cleef Engineering, they do take an administrative fee. Yeah.
Who's on the board?
Well, the board would be created once the grant is secured. You'll all have a say in that, of course. I don't get to pick the board. Each neighborhood, my recommendation, my recommendation would be each neighborhood had a board member.
But that doesn't say it in here, though, what you're saying to us.
No, but I bet
That
that
doesn't
this
say
council,
it.
I bet this council could
I
write
would,
an ordinance.
I would want this in writing before anything.
If I have to leave here tonight and ask for writing, the grant's gone, I'm sorry. We stand at this turning point. If I would have known that, I would have endeavored to get you a piece of paper to do that. We stand at a turning point. It's right now you have to vote for.
You did read this though, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Councilman Garcia, anything else?
No, that'd be all, thank you.
Councilman Davis.
Yeah, the only thing I noticed, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, it says at one point in the application that we don't have a housing code and another that we do. Is that going to impact our application?
We do have a housing code, as you know.
Yeah. I think
It does not impact the